It's the question everyone's been asking. Where on earth is Brocodes? I'm back. Sorry. Okay, so my big plan was to make this video talking about how long it's taking Nintendo to talk about the Switch 2. Guess what they did like 2 days after I started working on that? So time for plan B! The Switch 1 turns 8 years old this year, and this is why I think it's the greatest console Nintendo have ever made. The Switch's story begins in the blissful year of 2017. Well, actually, it begins in 2015. You probably know the story by now. The Wii U is on fire, in the worst possible way, and Nintendo are eager to remind investors that they're still a valuable company. So they shift into 6th gear and announce their new home console, codenamed NX, is in development with no additional info. They also announced a partnership with a company called DNA to develop mobile games for various IPs, but boohoo, boring, go away, that's a topic for another video. It's really funny to look back at this time for Nintendo because despite the poor Wii U sale numbers, despite the apathy developing towards their games, and despite the overall negativity from consumers and investors, the hype was unreal for the Switch. It's seriously just a you had to be there moment in time. Just leaks and rumours and reports on top of more leaks and rumours and reports about the NX's release date, design, power level, name, cartridge taste. Ugh. That actually does taste like shit. They tried and failed and succeeded to get everything about this system out there. I seriously think I had a harder time waiting for the Nintendo Switch first look than the Nintendo Switch 2's reveal trailer. And I was so excited to see the Switch 2, I had to watch the trailer in a Popeyes.
When we saw the Switch's first trailer, you could tell, massive vibe shift. Everyone and their mum could tell you this. No more cringy kids, no more CGI advertisements, it's just, here is the console. And it's good.
This is my first reason as to why the Switch is the best, actually. Like, is this arguably Nintendo's best idea? It's a pretty widely accepted truth by now that in order to stand out compared to a PlayStation or Xbox, a Nintendo console will attempt a more eccentric idea that may or may not be in the consumer's interest. Wii, motion controls good, DS, dual screens great, Wii U, bad. But seeing this in 2017, a hybrid console running console level games being effortlessly converted into a single screen handheld and moved outside, abroad to a hotel, I think it's a concept that clicked with general consumers pretty instantly, and it's honestly the reason they've managed to sell through so many of these systems. Anyways, our next look at the Switch came in January 2017, just 2 months before launch at the Nintendo Switch presentation 2017. We got a whole load of information including price, release date, Joy-Con reveal, ice shaking, how bad Nintendo's translator is apparently.
Nintendo Switch console, and I've heard that it's an easier.
And oh my fucking God, can we take in this game lineup really quickly? At this presentation alone, we saw Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Splatoon 2, Super Mario Odyssey, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. All of these were shown and released within the same year. Do you know how good these games were? And you're telling me I could take them on the go now? And the right Joy-Con has an IR cap? Fuck it, I'm sold. This is my 2017 wait. I moved, kinda. This is just student accommodation, but I don't have my original Switch to hand because I forgot to bring it with me from home. Huh. Okay, throws a spanner in things. I was gonna show off how the original revision of the Switch looked, but I guess I'll just describe it. I think the key thing about the Switch was how different it truly felt compared to anything Nintendo had worked on before. With the Wii U, it was a natural continuation of the Wii, so despite holding the gamepad, eventually my hands returned to Wii remotes, and it made the whole console feel more familiar than I and Nintendo probably would have liked. But with the Switch, not only do we get a brand new startup screen, new UI, entirely new small controllers to hold, the experience is once again detached from the last 11 years of Nintendo, and I think that was important, especially considering how badly the Wii U crashed and burned. I think that just about covers all the pre-release information for the Switch. Announcement, reveal, presentation, yeah, that's most of it. Now all I've got to do is discuss a few games and add on a negative or two for a balanced argument, and this video should be wrapped up with a little bow.
Wait. There's how many games?
So, this actually helps me make my point, to be honest. This is the reason that the Switch succeeded. This is the defining factor that sets it apart from the rest and puts it in the elite company of, like, the Super Nintendo. This is a killer library. It was banger after banger after banger after banger, especially towards the second half of the generation when Nintendo needed to push to stay in the conversation with next-gen systems. I'm gonna try and whiz through basically every heavy hitter they dropped, but because I really don't think it's a good idea for me to make this video an hour long considering I'm gonna skim the entire library, so sorry if your favorite game gets rushed through or skipped at all, just blame Nintendo for making too many good games on this thing.
And their launch title was Breath of the Wild?
The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is obviously a game I want to replay and take a big, deep, longer than ever dive into in the future. So there's even less of a reason for me to talk about it at length here. I'll leave it at this though. This game genuinely made me realise I was conscious. Seriously, I have a distinct memory of my second day playing Breath of the Wild, just riding my horse, exploring the world around me, and thinking, this game is a cut above the rest. Because Breath of the Wild doesn't just reimagine Zelda as an open world game, it sets a gold standard for all open worlds and uses Zelda as the vessel to teach it. Hyrule is a borderline sandbox, an environment I could explore for hundreds upon hundreds of hours and not get bored of. It's truly this that sets it apart from other similar games. It is, frankly, one of my favourite games of all time, one of the greatest open worlds of all time, and arguably one of the greatest video games ever released. A must-have, a must-play, and a must-experience for anyone remotely interested in video games as a medium. That casually released for the Wii U on the same day, so it's actually not a Switch exclusive and shouldn't have been discussed here. Launching alongside Breath of the Wild as the only true Switch exclusive first-party launch title was 1-2 Switch, which is, obviously, a game I want to replay and take a big, deep, longer than ever. New high score. I'm fucking done playing this game, frankly. I don't have anything to say about 1-2 Switch that hasn't already been said a billion times by a billion others. It's fun for an hour, but doesn't offer much more than that, and would have been much more fondly remembered if it was bundled in with Switch systems much like Wii Sports. But also, and this is a thought I had while I was writing this video, it's just not as fun or as memorable as Wii Sports. I feel like, low-key, it would struggle as a packing title too. Obviously not sales-wise or units-wise, but it would struggle to leave a mark in people's minds and hearts the same way Wii Sports did. Maybe the move was to release it as the only first-party launch title alongside Zelda. Pressure everyone to grab it for full price, make a profit off of development, just turn a quick buck, basically. Oh, and, everybody 1-2 Switch exists. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe released at the end of April and is possibly one of Nintendo's smartest ever releases. Okay, so rewind to 2014 with me. Mario Kart 8 releases for Wii U, and despite it easily being the greatest looking and a good, if flawed, entry in the series, it can't drag the console to better sales. What a bummer. Nintendo took that base, reflected honestly on where they went wrong, and fixed it, surprisingly. This, and a system that actually bothered to move units, is all Nintendo had to do to send Mario Kart 8 flying up the sales charts. It's easily gonna top out as the Switch's best-selling game, and frankly, it deserves it. I made a video about this exact topic before, actually. When you take into account just how much work and love has been poured into 8 Deluxe, it's by far the greatest Mario Kart game. There's very little room to debate. Okay, stop me if you've heard this one before. Nintendo ported a lot of Wii U games to the Switch, huh? Again, I don't have a lot to say on the idea of porting Wii U games to Switch that people haven't already gone over. It's a very logical way to increase the output of games for cheap, and frankly, I'm really happy to have a big chunk of recent Nintendo history in one place. And also now I don't have to use my Wii U anymore, which is always a bonus. But holy shit, do some of these slip through the cracks. Did you know they released Pokken Tournament DX? Like the Pokemon fighting game, it came out on Switch. I've got nothing to say about that, I can't lie. I have it on Wii U, but never picked it up on Switch. The end. Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze got a port to Switch around a year into the system's life. This is one of those games I picked up that got completely lost in the sauce a few years ago, which is a real shame because from what I have played of it, it seems really fun. Even if I definitely vibe with Mario more, a good 2D platformer is a good 2D platformer. Pretty hard to put me off of one. Releasing Country Returns 6 years late might just do it though. Also, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. Nintendo, I'm sorry, you've released this game about 3 separate times now. I'm not interested, okay? Maybe one day. I love how it's kind of a toss-up on whether Nintendo are gonna bother to use the deluxe suffix or not. Tropical Freeze literally had an all-new character and isn't referred to as a deluxe port. But New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, a release supposedly fundamentally worse than its Wii U counterpart, does. Part of me thinks people blew this a little out of proportion. Like, this is the same game as New Super Mario Bros. U or New Super Luigi U on Wii U. Try saying that 5 times fast. But the replacement of Blue Toad with Toadette means there's no way to play 4-player co-op without one player drawing the short straw and playing as a not regular, easy character, which... Yeah, that does kind of stink actually. Super Mario 3D World didn't get a deluxe subtitle, but it did get the arguably better suffix, plus Bowser's Fury. They made practically an entirely new 3D Mario inside of the 3D World engine, where you team up with Bowser Jr. to save the open environment known as Lake Lapcat from Fury Bowser. Fun fact, there was actually a point in time where everyone called this form of Bowser God Killer Bowser because of a mistranslation. I kind of wish he was actually called God Killer Bowser. God Killer Bowser. Is that not insane? Hello? I mean, if nothing else, this is an insane deal. Sorry, that sounds like I'm trying to, like, intentionally put Bowser's Fury down. I actually love it. Do I think it's the exact direction I want 3D Mario to take in the future? Another story. But considering it's maybe a couple of hours of content given out for free with a surprisingly vastly improved version of 3D World, I think it's a great deal for what it is. And the 3D World port is superb too. The movement speed is far higher compared to the Wii U release. They added the roll move from Odyssey. There's online co-op now. How is this not Super Mario 3D World Deluxe? I'm not even bothering. Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition in March 2025 too. Look, you can criticize this practice all you want, reusing games from a console they effectively left for dead to pad out the Switch library, but ultimately, I think Nintendo would be stupid not to utilize some of these. If you take a step back and look at the whole picture, you realize that these games alone are, relatively speaking, packed with versatility across demographic and genre, able to satisfy just about any fan for a good long while. And these are just the Wii U ports. The bestseller list gets even better. I'll quickly rattle off some of the best ones just to round things out because, oh my god, this is getting so much longer than I thought it was going to be. Because how on earth have I not uttered the word Super Mario Odyssey yet? Maybe I'm crazy, utterly crazy for suggesting this, but I think Super Mario Odyssey is the very definition of a modern classic. A game that invokes the feeling of and sits in the pantheon with classic collectathons before it. Like I hinted at before, I know after Bowser's Fury there was a small push to move Mario in the direction of being open level. But if you ask me, it's Super Mario Odyssey that nailed what a 3D Mario should be. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate has left me stumped for what the future of that series should be. It's crazy to think people were expecting a simple deluxe edition of Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS, because we ended up with the biggest Smash Bros. Ever. Every previous featured character returning in possibly the greatest reveal trailer ever, complete with a story mode that might have been a little lackluster, stage builder, classic mode, home run, tourney, online play that definitely struggled. It's truly the ultimate Smash Bros. And I really don't think I'd be upset if they just left it to linger for a little while. Maybe release like an enhanced version on Switch 2. Yeah, let's do this whole debate again. But seeing as the console's backwards compatible, I genuinely would not be upset if we didn't get a Smash Bros. On Switch 2 at all. Jesus. Okay, this is far more talking than I thought I'd be doing today, and I'm starting to lose my head. What else could the Switch possibly offer? We got 3 whole Mario parties on here, each one a better drinking game than the last, trust me. Oh, of course, Splatoon really made the leap from new IP to Nintendo mainstay with Splatoon 2 and 3 and their respective DLCs. Breath of the Wild got a sequel 2 years ago, my god, I need to hop back into that. Our first 3D Kirby, a new Animal Crossing that sold over 40 million copies. I think 5 new Pokemon entries that we can just leave it at that. Metroid Dread, Prime Remastered, Prime 4, a new Paper Mario and a Thousand Year Door remaster, and a new Zelda game where you finally play as Link. This system has everything. It has everything. I think every single Nintendo fan will have at least 1, 2, 3, 10 games that they love on Switch, just because it hits every single genre and demographic possible. The only things that it's lacking are, you know, functional hardware. Like, working controllers. All these games, no controllers to play them with. You've probably seen the stories by now of the control sticks on Joy-Cons, and frankly other controllers as well, act like they're being used even when no one is touching the controller, or in other words, Joy-Con drift. For some reason, Joy-Cons are uber susceptible to this, and it's definitely crossed the line of, wow, we should have done something about this like 5 years ago at least. But even if the controllers worked, I've got no one to play with. I lagged out of my last 10 Splatoon matches. The service for basically every online Nintendo game, even after they switched to a paid online service in 2018, is notoriously terrible. I've had nights where me and my friend will literally lag out of 10 Splatoon matches in a row, and we just give up playing and switch to something else. The additional offerings like NES Online got better with time, sure, and they added services like SNES Online, N64 Online, Game Boy Online, Sega Genesis Online, etc, etc, and bundling in the DLC for Splatoon 2 and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has made the whole package worth it. Sure, but I want my servers to work first and foremost, and the Switch feels like it barely offers that. But even if the online servers worked, I can't buy any of these games in the first place, seeing how utterly terrible the eShop is. My God, this stinks. It's so bad to use. Not only is it the blandest eShop ever, it's the laggiest eShop ever, and takes approximately 15 years to load in any content, and when it finally does decide to load, it's the worst games you've ever seen in your life. It was already flooded with shovelware content, but the rise of generative AI has only made things worse. Nintendo's quality filter has completely slipped, and now it feels borderline unusable for browsing unless I already know what I want to grab before I go on the eShop. No more just casually looking through the bestseller or best deals charts, something shovelware developers managed to ruin, by the way, to find a cool looking indie. And even if the eShop was functional, it doesn't matter because the whole system's bland and I hate looking at it and this console sucks. Right. Yeah. The Switch isn't a perfect console, obviously. I didn't come here to argue that. While the library is genuinely one of Nintendo's very best, and I think the games matter first and foremost, they've dropped the ball seriously hard, in particular with online infrastructure and making sure the controllers work past their warranty expiry, and also Nintendo have been lately. I'm not gonna make a cheap repetitive Nintendo takes down every fan game joke, because that's like only kind of true, and also that's run into the ground at this point, but there's loads of examples of them just being ruthless and low-key evil this generation. I do think, despite all of this, the good does outweigh the bad. The games library is the most important thing here, and the Switch one is Nintendo's greatest console of all time. But equally, at the same time, I am beyond ready for a Switch 2 to come in and fix just about every single flaw the Switch 1 had and become the perfect console. I want better online, I want more reliable controllers, yes, I think it's fair to say I want the games to look better too, and for fuck's sake, I want themes! How have we not got